Hey, what's up to the Mix It Up podcast? I'm Mike. That's Nick. Nick, we're missing the other Nick,
Here
Little
we
Nick,
are.
they call him, aka Dill Money.
Here we are.
What's he
You
up
want
to,
to?
man?
I don't know. You tell me. He told you where he was going tonight. He didn't tell me. What's he up to?
I don't know. I think he's I forgot what Jules said. Jules said something funny before, but
He's
I
out
know he's
fighting
fine.
capitalism. With he's got
Yeah, he's out
he's
protesting
got
against capitalistic evil.
he's got his shield and his sword and his cape, and he's going around the wealthy areas in New York collecting taxes.
He's in like Armagh and Larchmont. If you see him, you might want to avoid him if you're in those areas.
Like the census guy walking around. Did you fill out your census yet? Get away from me.
Oh man, it's either that or he's watching like a binge on the Kardashians or some shit, trying to figure out if like Bruce Jenner returns back into a man. You're in for a long night, Dill.
Do ladies work here?
But anyway, to fill little Dill's shoes, we had to get two guys on. One guy, by the name of Jules. He's on the NYG, no, BBO NYG podcast that we both do.
Big blue
Still
offensive.
Still getting to use of that. Speaking of USAYD, Cultural's on with us. He was on the Giants Brawl podcast with me. Well, I was on his podcast. That was his podcast. And man, we'll get into toxic work environments because I know we're going to bring that up in this conversation tonight. But guys, welcome to the show, man. Nice to have you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's weird because like I kickstarted your passion for podcasting, and I was like, Mike, because I know like G referred to you to me, our boy G Steeler, who against falling off the face of the earth, and I was like, Mike, like do this podcast thing with us, and your whole thing was like, all right, if I gotta talk Giants, like let's do it, and that's how I met Jules, and then like obviously all this shit happened with the Brawl Network, and then like as a result of me getting you on Giants Brawl, dude, like the Mix It Up podcast was kind of formed.
Right. And the BBO NYG podcast. It was funny because when I got on, the Podfather, we call him, he got me on the show, got me into the fucking podcast game. I was like, okay, now I'm kind of liking it, whatever. Then when you guys left, then I'm like, all right, I think I'm out too. But then Jules kind of like, it's like, no, I want to fucking do it. So he pulled me back in the game. And now people are just stuck with listening to my stupid voice and my rants on about everything and everything. But yeah, that's what happened. So you guys are both to blame.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, I wasn't even on Twitter. Well, I technically joined up for Twitter like almost 2 years ago, but like I never fucking went on. I didn't know how to like, oh, do I need a follower? I don't even know any of that bullshit. And now I'm like a fucking maniac posting shit on the NFL draft about it, looking for followers. Yeah, follow me here, follow me there. So yeah, you created a monster too.
That's what happens. And then Nick is always on for like on social media for like a couple months, then he's off, then he's back on for a year, then he's off for like 3 years. Nick, where can they find you?
You could find me in my living room probably more often than not. You don't want to follow me anywhere, trust me. Don't worry. Follow the rest of these guys. Just follow the Mix It Up podcast and the Big Blue Offensive. And you said, what do you got going on? You got another podcast going on or what?
So yeah, I do 2 weekly shows. I do Picks for Pace with the Bear Report because I live in Chicago. I cover the Bears, right? I have a special place in my heart for the New York Giants. I also do the Fireside Bears podcast with Empire Sports Media. So you can follow that on Twitter at Fireside Bears. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at USAYD Kosher. It's funny, right? Because before this, I was standing in a Mexican restaurant. I actually rushed home, ate my food, had to jump on this thing because Mike texted me this morning. He's like, yo, let's do this. And I opened up Instagram, dude. And there's a freaking video there of some chick that I went to high school with who actually became a stripper. And I was friends with her, right?
Get her on.
Be hot?
Okay, what you look? Stripper.
Somewhat, dude.
All right.
Obviously, everyone has like different preferences,
Right.
So yeah, and I had to like shut that thing down because there's some.
Did you work in Chicago?
Yeah, like in my area. Was in like Miami for a couple of weeks, I think. Lives, I'm pretty sure, right down the street from me.
Nice.
So I told my coworkers, here's a funny story, right? Like obviously there's like Magnum, the condoms, and then there's Magnum, like the ice cream bar. So we hired some
Use both.
girl at, yeah, we hired some I was on the phone with a friend one night, right? And going off, and I'm like, hold on, I'm trying to open up my Magnum, like the ice cream. And then he goes and he's like, oh, you don't need a Magnum. And I was like, shut the hell up, right? And then, dude, some way, somehow I brought the conversation up at work. And I'm like, yeah, so, because the guy I was talking to on the phone, I also work with him, really close friend of mine, great coworker too. So he goes and he's like, I was like, yo, Dan, so when we were talking about going back to the Magnums thing last night, and then this one girl goes and she's like, dude, stop. There's no need to talk about that stuff at work. And I was just like, y'all got some sick, twisted, perverted minds. If the first thing, when I say Magnum, the first thing that comes to your mind is protection.
I'm going to use that line next time I talk to a girl. I'm just going to be like, hey, you want a Magnum? And then I'm just going to pull out an ice cream bar.
Yeah. Speaking of Magnums, a Magnum condom should only be used to put over a Magnum ice cream bar anyway. There's no use for it over here.
To keep it cold?
Yeah, to keep it cold. It's a koozie. I use this as a koozie for my ice cream bars.
That's fucking funny, man. Oh, man. Yeah, we got to get right into the first topic, right?
All right. Well, let me discuss the topics and then we'll jump into it.
All right.
So we got toxic work environments. We got vaccines and certain colleges not letting you back to school without getting it. Cryptocurrency, which Mike will love to speak of. Elon Musk, the fucking smartest guy that lives on the planet at this point in our lives, or whatever it is. Let's see. COVID and how has it treated you, goodly or badly? And I think there's another one that I'm missing.
Dying.
Oh yeah. Are you scared to die, Michael? All right. So toxic work environment, you guys want to talk about first? Let it rip. I'm sure we could all go wild on it.
Well, we were in a little bit of a toxic work environment before these guys got me onto the Giants World podcast. I was in like a little group chat, G got me in with like the leader of the company and the Podfather, and Anthony was on like the same like little text. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to fucking do this. She's like, oh, you'd be good at it. You fucking do it. I'm like, maybe. So I'm in the group text talking with these guys. I'm like, listen, why don't you guys do the podcast together without me? I'll take a listen to see if I fit in. I don't know what you guys are doing. And then the leader, MB, I'll use his initials of the Brawl Network. Right? He was like, he kind of like came off as like arrogant. He's like, this is my thing. I'll dictate how this goes down, how this is going to work out. I'm like, what? I kind of took I'm like, yeah, hell Hitler, right? Like, what are you fucking doing, right? You fucking monster. And then I'm like, gee, what's up with your boy? And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. He's probably having a bad day, but whatever. Like, you should do the podcast. And then that's what started me getting on. I'm like, I don't know if I trust this fucking guy. And then sure enough, it turned out to be a pretty toxic work environment for a lot of people. And I wasn't even in the middle of it. I know the Podfather kind of was, because he was doing a lot of editing and writing. I'm like, I mean, how does that feel to be in that kind of environment, man?
I mean, for me, myself and one other person, we were pretty much the two people running the whole show, talking to and I'm just gonna say his name because the dude's a total coward. He's on a Twitter hiatus, and I'll call him out publicly. But myself and one other person, we were basically the gateway to Mike Brez and the founder and owner of the whole thing, who obviously he's kicked off, has been on a Twitter hiatus because of racist. People went back, looked at his old tweets, found racist and homophobic things. And so really for me, man, I mean, we kind of covered up for Brez for so long, and I have so many screenshots of him just going off on us for a hell of a lot of things. And I know there's other people that, we're familiar with that could certainly attest to more of it as well. But I was overseeing, dude, 45 podcasts, recruiting writers and stuff, to the point, dude, where I'm pretty sure I aged, I would go to sleep whatever, right? Midnight, 1 a.m, be up at 7 or 8 the very next day. And I would have 56 messages and stuff of I need this and I need this and blah, 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 just from people all across the network, to a point where I legitimately considered leaving before the whole hiatus and stuff went down. I think when I left back in October, obviously Brett's kind of framed it as yo, no, I need you to stay, you're very important, But like to me, the whole thing was just like, dude, I'm just bored of overseeing all this stuff, and I'm not necessarily even like getting paid to do any of this. There's a whole bunch of other people that are doing this stuff like on their own time, and they got to like edit their own shows. There's no benefits. Like the one full-time producer that Brez had hired pretty much ended up like, you know, being fired, and then Brez like hired him again or something. And I was just like, so people got to do all this stuff for free, and they got to listen to pretty much everything you say. They can't really have their own flavors and personalities on the show, you know. So it's just like, what's really the end all be all here? So people like got bored of it. And then like a month and a half ago, you know, someone else who used to be with the network tweeted kind of like a phone conversation or something, and then that whole thing blew up, and let it behold, the freaking Brawl network like ended. And I've talked to people who since then, you know, like left, like you, Mike, and you, Jules, and everyone's just like off doing their own thing now, like doing so much better. Like one guy actually left, and then the very next day like started his own podcast network, you know. So it's just cool to see. I would say like it was such a toxic work environment. Obviously all of us persevered through it, because to us it was just like, hey, we're here because like we just want to talk about our favorite teams. And I would say like the single best thing that came from that toxic work environment was like me getting a chance to like meet Mike and like meet Jules, because living here in Chicago, you know, I don't meet like a lot of Giants fans. You know, you got a lot of Giants fans in like Dallas and Florida and stuff. You don't have so many here in Illinois. So it's always nice to like be able to, like I mentioned earlier, I cover the Chicago Bears, but it's always nice to have like the, you know, the team that like my dad grew up rooting for, and like the team that I watched as a kid. And I live like 20 minutes from the old Giants stadium. Growing up, you know, it was always nice to like be able to like reconnect with some people who shared like the same passion for the Giants that I did.
Totally. No, listen, and you know what? Just to kind of like recap on that too, like you know, Mike and I really didn't get a chance to experience much. Like we literally, and when I say Mike, I mean trainer, right? We didn't get a chance to experience much of the bad side of things. That's why we were sort of like, we felt like we were kept in the dark. We would just keep putting in shows. We'd reach out to them. We would see all this crazy shit going on Twitter. People leaving Brawl, leaving tweets, leaving this shit. We're like, the fuck is going on? Everything's okay. Like, all right. Yo, did we get some t-shirts or something? We want to throw them on. We do the show. Yeah, sure. I'll send them to you. Well, go talk to this person. Like, that person just left. They're no longer even part of this fucking network no more. Yeah. Like, yo, it got to a point where literally, like, when really, really shit hit the fan, we reached out to him in the group, like whatever DM that we were in, and he basically ended up sending us like a shot of his refrigerator filled with beer. So I was like, all right, I have been drinking a little bit that night too. I opened up my refrigerator and sent the one back. Never heard from him again. Literally the last fucking text and shit that I ever got from this dude. So yeah, Mike, I'm glad he fucking convinced me. He's like, yo, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, let's go start our own thing. And that was literally how Big Blue Offensive was born.
EBO NYG podcast. Go follow it.
What happened? Was that movie Euro Trip when the guy was like, he finds a nickel when they're in like Bratislava, and he's like, I build my own hotel now. So you guys opened your whole your whole fucking podcast network now. And sometimes it happens, you know. Some shit happens. You got to make fucking apple juice out of lemons, right? Is that what it's called?
That makes sense.
Makes tons of sense.
You sound like that.
I mean, you guys have that toxic environment. At my old job, I'm not going to mention the name of it. It was an accounting industry firm. It was pretty toxic. I used to just drink at work and on the train and stuff like that. That's how toxic it was. But some of the managers made people cry, like in the open floor, made this girl cry. I was like, what's going on? She's like, blah, 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 said this to me. I was like, no, it's not happening. So all the managers are in a meeting. I fucking busted the door and I was like, you just made her cry. Go outside and fucking fix it. Right. So she went out there and fucking fixed it, because otherwise part 2 of my killing spree was about to happen up in there. You don't make people cry in a fucking office environment. It's not that fucking important. And the same manager told my manager, she was like a above him or whatever. She tells him this: great guy, fucking really nice, knows what he's doing. Goes like this to him: if you don't like it, you could walk out the door right there. That's what she says in front of everybody in the office. And the only reason I didn't say anything to her is because my bonus was coming up in like 2 weeks. Otherwise, I would have bitched her out and fucking walked out of the office. But That's the thing, though. Sometimes the money gets held over your head. Oh, I can't leave now. I'm waiting for my bonus. You know?
But that's how people get killed, man. Like you like act like you make somebody cry. If you make some like the wrong person cry, they're gonna come back and fucking shoot you and the place up.
Yeah,
Like
and how long ago was this work environment going on?
I quit that job. So this is the great part. I quit. Me and my friends it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
Me and my friends, there was 3 of us. We would always be like, dude, we got to get the fuck out of here. Okay. So I quit. Like, I don't know, a few months later, another one quit and another one quit. So we're all out of there. But it's like a flow, like you guys, you know what I mean? Once one person was like, I'm out. All right, I'm out too. I'm out too. You just have to, you have to see somebody do it and like, oh, are you dead? You've been you quit a month ago. Are you dead yet? Like, nah, man, I'm good.
Are you on the streets?
Right. Oh shit.
I mean, listen, in a world where they have to put a warning that goes across the start of Back to the Future 3 you guys are talking about. I'm surprised that these work environments still exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, how hard is it for someone to just bust out their phone and make this crazy video of like a manager going off on someone making them cry?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
like that person's world is all in a fucking shitstorm.
See, I think like at the end of the day, certain people just aren't gonna say like certain things or like tweet something out because then they know like, okay, if I tweet this out, like who's the next like person to get in trouble? It's automatically gonna be me. So like people are kind of afraid. Like yesterday, right? We had an incident that went down at work, and I didn't appreciate the unprofessionalism that people had. So I called my boss up about it and stuff, and I'm like, yo, this is a situation that went down, and they addressed it and everything. And I talked to one of the people who was like being like bullied per se, and I was just like, yo, this is what these guys said about you, and I said straight up, I was just like, look, like obviously there's a toxic work environment. If I like don't go ahead and I just decide to keep my mouth shut, then I'm a coward like the rest of these guys, because like I'm just doing whatever and kind of creating like a negative atmosphere. But more so what is just is like people are afraid to speak out because they think like, oh, if I speak out, like all of a sudden like I'm in the wrong. And it's just like, no, if you speak out, like you're the one doing the right thing, And I've always been someone that's been big on like, yeah, you got to like stand up for others, because then people will like start standing up for you, and people will have your back and stuff. But like, I remember, this is probably one of my first freaking high school jobs, dude. There was so much damn drama that went down there. Literally, I used to work at a grocery store, dude. And there were like 2 high schools that were near us, And what happened is every single high school kid that they would hire, bro, some way, somehow these guys would just end up in a freaking relationship with each other. And I'm like, yo, this place is a freaking, love fest. And then it got to a point where once people started breaking up, no one was like, I don't want to be here anymore, So like, yeah, toxic work environments definitely trash. I still deal with such toxic people at work, dude. There's just like, I've gotten to a point, dude, where with toxic people in general, coworkers, whatever it may be, like I straight up do not even know like what the hell they're good at when it comes to their job.
If somebody fucks with you at work, you should be allowed to like just be like, punch them like real quick. You should be allowed that, like just one time, just one pop, just kind of like teach them like a little bit of a lesson. Like, listen, you're being kind of a dick to me, like, and you just won't stop. I should be allowed as like an employee to like punch that person right in the head, real quick, like just like not cock back, like just quick jab, and like, yo, are we done? Like now let's move on and finish whatever we got to do, work wise.
Not to come off.
Can't do that.
Not to come off as a sexist right now. And Mike, I know I'm sure I probably already fucking gave you this spiel, but the women in this company destroyed the company with their prideful fucking attitudes of like, oh, I'm a woman in power and I'm going to dominate you. Before they became in
almost
power,
sounded like a really good time.
Like, is that on Pornhub?
Yeah, dude.
Ooh, wait a minute, what? Say that again.
I think I looked that up one night.
And I know women that will vouch for this as well, that most of the time women in power are not fucking good. They have like a power trip, you know what I mean? Like before the women came in, the company was run by men. It was so chilled out. Everybody was relaxed. Nobody had their period. And then the women came and they just were fucking waving their dicks around like blah, 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 smacking people in the face with it. And you're like, guys, calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? Like everything was so smooth to the point where Everybody walked into the office and just wanted to smash their fucking head through the fucking screen every day. They ruined everything. Women, you ruined everything.
That sounds like the worst possible company you could ever work for. I lose my mind, man, if people fucking acted like that.
You ever see the movie Wanted?
I believe so.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, the scene when he's in the office and he just finally flips out. He takes the keyboard, smashes his fucking boss in the face with it, and the keys fly out, and they say "fuck you." Oh, you know how many times I thought about doing that? I thought about taking my screen and fucking smashing it on the fucking desk and just elbowing people in the fucking face. Never did it though. Help!
Well, I'm lucky, I guess. I had all kind of like chill jobs pretty much. I never had to deal with that kind of shit.
Not like that, no. I mean, listen, were there definitely like some maybe like I guess like Napoleon complexes, if you would, managers that I used to have to work for in the restaurants and bars, without a doubt. You know what I mean? But like it got to a point where if you kind of like rolled back on them a little bit, like they shrink down a little bit. You know, but like, yeah, man.
I'm gonna crush you after work hours. I'm gonna destroy you.
All right, listen, you started to like insult my manhood here a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know really how to respond.
my whole thing with toxic coworkers, and it still stands to this day, because I had to kind of put my foot down and establish this. I was just like, yo, you stay in your lane, I'm gonna stay in my lane, and do not bother me at work unless it's important. Like, it's gotten to the point, it's so bad, dude, where a lot of the people I work with, I don't even bother saying like good morning to them or whatever, you know. And I don't care if I come off as like a total jerk or whatever. It's just like me, you know, like Marshawn Lynch said it best in an interview. He's just like, I just don't fuck with you, you know? Like, I'm kind of the same way, in the sense that like, yeah, don't bother me with anything unless it's like really, really important, because I don't want to deal with you guys, because like you guys are the ones that like created all this like controversy and these issues in the workplace, and I want nothing to do with you guys.
I'm glad Marshawn Lynch ain't my fucking boss. I'd be like, all right, man, whatever.
Sure, he followed it up with where the bitch is at.
No, Marshawn would be, dude. I think Marshawn would be an awesome boss to work for. Like every time I've seen him,
if you see him on like Conan O'Brien, like he does some like funny interviews with him, man. Like, yeah, he's actually like he's a real good dude, man. He gets like a bad rap on the football field.
Well, listen, didn't he avoid the media for a number, like really with like interviews and all that kind of shit, right? Wasn't that like sort of his thing? So anytime you do that, you automatically get a bad rap, whether you're a good dude or not. It don't matter. You know what I mean? Like that's just an automatic tag.
He just didn't want to.
Except for Barry Bonds, because we know he's a dick.
He didn't want to deal with the fucking media, man. I get it. I get that shit. Fuck him.
Blame him. Shit.
What do you think it would be like working for Elon Musk? Transition
right there. Kills it. Crushes it again.
Well, at what point, like you're talking about like currently working for Elon Musk, or like Elon Musk back in like Silicon Valley type days and shit like that? Because like I think they're two different people.
I'm talking right now.
Right now. Oh man, I think I want a young Musk.
the Musk that I used to find in my father's cologne.
Yeah, that's old. That's old Musk. That's the current one. Like I don't want that shit. I want young Musk, man.
Worst
like,
cologne ever. You remember
young,
that Musk?
Hungry.
It's called Sex Panther by ODI. It's illegal in 9 countries.
I was gonna say maybe I could have followed him to PayPal, made a fucking bundle and been rich like him.
But Elon Musk, smartest man on the planet. I don't give a fuck that there's people richer than him, like Jeff Bezos and fucking who knows who the fuck else. Some prince in fucking some countries fucking way fucking richer than him. But that motherfucker. Dude, he owns like 37 companies. He's the fucking founder and CEO of like 9,000 companies. And he's sending people to fucking Mars. And he's a fucking lunatic. And I watched his little speech the other day on Saturday Night Live. I know people probably write his jokes, but he's funny.
He is. He was actually pretty funny, man. He's the most brilliant. He's like one of the most brilliant people on the fucking planet, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know he gets a bad rap for shit he says about like COVID and all that fucking other bullshit, whatever. But like, he's a fucking genius. Sometimes they don't know how to like talk like humanly,
right?
Like, you know, being good at like social, you know what I mean? Because they're so fucking smart, they're stupid.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I would describe Elon Musk. But you know,
yeah, I think Musk would be low-key. Musk is just interesting because he's done. It's like Mike mentioned, right? He's done all this different type of stuff. but then he's also said a lot of crazy things as well. And I think like people, especially in this day and age, they just really tend to focus on like, oh, there's all this like, this is a rich guy, you know, we're just going to focus on like the bad side of things and all that without really looking at like the whole picture. Because if you look at like, I'm pretty sure like I think Elon Musk owns like PayPal or something, you know, or like, well, I know he's like whatever, the CEO of Tesla. And if you think of it, like the dude came up with an electric car, and his innovation or whatever invention, whatever you want to call it, is gonna like drive the future forward, especially when you got like all these other issues that like regular like, you know, cars that run on like fossil fuel like gas and stuff are going to be like causing, you know. So the dude is like a genius in one way, but then you could also argue he's an idiot. It just really depends on like whose story you're really willing to like listen to.
He wants people to live on other planets and shit, like be a multi-planet species and shit, which is fucking wild.
That's pretty dope though.
That is.
Because I would want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think
you want to live on Mars. You said.
Oh no, I would. If I could be an astronaut, I would be low-key intrigued, dude. Like what, you know, like other planets would look like, or like if they're like really life on like other planets and stuff. Because I know like some scientists are projecting like, oh, by the year like whatever 2060 or something, we're gonna be able to like live in space or whatever, you know. So like I think it's just interesting overall to like really explore what's out there and have like an open mind at the end of the day. Not like a lot of these people that just have like these closed minds, because like they say that they want to try something new, but then they never really try something new. So, you know, like I like Musk's open-mindedness. That's how I'm going to phrase it.
Yeah. He's imagine being friends with him, right? Because say like, for instance, like, yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I come up with ideas all the time. And then I'm just like, yeah, that idea sucked, but it's a great idea. It's just, I'm not going to do anything with it because I don't know how to. But imagine Elon Musk was like your best friend. And you're like, Elon, guess what? Listen to this idea. And then next thing you know, he made a company. Right. And it's like, oh, you're the vice president of the company, Nick. Oh, thanks, man. You know what I mean? You got to surround yourself with people like that.
Yeah, right. That actually wants to do it.
Right. But I have a list of his companies, and I just want to touch on them real quick because this one is fucking amazing. I watched the video of it. So he's the founder and CEO of SpaceX, which, you know, he wants to send people to fucking Mars, which he's going to because nobody stops that fucking guy. He's the CEO of Tesla. We know all about that. He's the founder of the Boring Company, which he's trying to create safe, fast to dig and low cost transportation tunnels, which is going to solve fucking traffic and transportation issues, right? He wants to basically dig tunnels to fucking, I guess, whatever, and create his low emission cars that you could go under there and it's not going to create any emissions and shit like that. That's wild. This one's crazy. It's called Neuralink, right? Neuralink. There's a video of a monkey and they implanted two chips into his fucking brain. They're making him play a video game. You know, the game Pong, like the two things like this and the fucking ba-ding. So
Atari shit.
Yeah. So he's playing it.
I passed that.
He's playing it. The monkey, he knows how to fucking play it with his hand, which is bizarre, right? We have another creature on the world that knows how to play our fucking video games, right? And then they unplug the remote control. So the remote control is not working anymore. But the fucking game is getting controlled still by his fucking brain. Because the chips in his mind are getting read. The neural fucking processes or whatever are getting then computed to a computer. And now it's able to read all the waves going on in his brain, and his mind is controlling the fucking video game. All right.
That's fucking wild.
Now, eventually they want to use this for people that can't move anymore, like paraplegics, and they could control shit with their fucking minds. Fucking insane is that?
That's fucking nuts.
And it's not even that hard to understand because it's right there. You know what I mean? They read what's going on in your brain. They're used to the waves in your brain, and now they can fucking process it, and you could do things. You could shut the door. You could turn the lights on. You can order a hooker.
What? I flip a car over. I want to just be standing in the middle of the street. The car's like coming too close. We're like, the fucking thing flips in the air like fucking mutants and shit. That's the kind of craziness I would want to do with those chips. I'm like, all of a sudden the car stops short. Like, fuck you.
I think you're describing David Blaine. You know,
Blaine, dude. But that's like science fiction shit right there.
That's wild shit, man. I want to play that monkey in Pong though, and imagine being the asshole that loses to the fucking monkey.
He was so good at Pong. It was bizarre.
Yo,
You never fucking
bring
missed
it.
the ball ever.
Dude,
Yo,
I'm pretty
bring it.
sure like they had the old school like Atari stick and everything, and like his ancestors or whatever, his grandfather was playing Pong in some lab somewhere, right? So like that shit has been like inbred into the system.
Dude, the
Like,
best
son,
part.
You're
The
gonna be
best
the
part.
best Pong player ever.
The best part, they have to give like a monkey something for him to do it. They're like, you got to give me something, asshole. He's over there sucking on a fucking a straw, sucking on a banana smoothie. That was his like, here's your little fucking whatever whatever the word is. I don't know. Let's go to something else. Anybody want to talk about Neuralink?
Neuralink, huh?
You said what are your feelings about that?
I mean, let me look the term up, dude.
All right. I mean, the chip in the head's a little scary.
Well, I wanted to go back to the Moss thing real quick because I was thinking a couple of scenarios there. Like, because if he actually wants like volunteers, but I think he doesn't want to. I think he wants it to be a rich thing. How are you supposed to sell Mars? Like, all right, let's just go to a new fucking planet, right? Unless that shit looks like fucking Total Recall from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where they're fucking all set up and they got like a fucking indoor city that if you go outside, your face melts and shit. But if you stay inside, you're fine.
Yo, give me.
I ain't going up there, right? Like, that's it. If not, you got to get like fucking poorer people or people like us to go and be like, all right, it's going to probably be like a 5 to 7 year journey. That's it. You're going to lose that shit. So for each year you're up there, I'm going to give you $1 million. I'll do it. I'll come back. I still won't be that old.
Yo,
I'll have $7 motherfucking $1 million sent to me. All right.
You're not coming back, Jules.
What if they send you a pamphlet and the pamphlet describes like Mars as like all the beautiful women and like video games? Like, you wouldn't go? Like, I'm like, yo, sign me up, man. Like, fucking shoot me there. Whatever you gotta do.
They have some like tent that they set up real quick, like Martian or whatever, right? Or is that when we were fucking what's his name, Damon? Not Damon. Where it's like temporary shit. Like, all right, cool. I get to hang out with some hot chicks and play video games on Mars.
Imagine they tricked you and then you just show up there and it's just dirt.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just a red fucking sand. I'm like, this is bullshit.
It's freezing.
I flew 2 years for this shit.
It's minus 80 degrees on Mars. You could never go to the beach. You could never see bitches in their bikinis. Mars sucks.
You gotta heat that shit up.
So I think, yeah, Neuralink is certainly interesting. I just think like what's happening now, with all this technology we have is like human beings are like pretty much I think what's going to happen over like whatever the next like 2 decades is human beings are going to be like just fully functional machines. So like if someone, I don't know, like cuts your arm off or something, through, I know Neuralink deals with like brain injury, like the brain and stuff, but like I'm pretty sure someone's going to be able to like, I don't know, regenerate like your cut off arm. Or like with Neuralink, I think these guys are going to develop like a permanent, like cure to something like, I don't know, concussions or like CTE, or like the ability to like, restore like brain cells or something. Because like I teach psychology, and one of the things I told my students was like, try not to hit your head on anything unless some of y'all were dropped as babies, because once you lose brain cells, like you're never going to get them back. So I think like, I know Elon Musk is a founder. This is another one of those classic scenarios of like, this dude and a whole bunch of other buddies like having so many like really intriguing ideas. And I'll give Musk this credit. Like, people call the guy crazy. Neuralink definitely sounds like a crazy idea, but sometimes like the craziest of people come up with like the best of ideas.
Like Dogecoin.
What's up?
Like Dogecoin.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
The best idea.
You're right. I didn't mean to cut you off. If you got more, you said go for it.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think like overall, it's Neuralink's an intriguing idea, because here it says like, oh, developing like brain implantable interfaces. So, and then it says in the overview, it's just like, oh yeah, to treat like serious brain diseases in like the short term with the possible of like, improving humans. So overall, like you could look at this. Some people are going to look at this and be like, oh, these guys are absolutely crazy trying to change up like human, anatomy or whatever you want to call it. But then other people are like, oh my God, this is really interesting, because like there could end up leading to a cure for like so many things that just like do not have a cure, or like it could lead to like an entirely new invention. Because sometimes like through Neuralink, these guys could decide, oh, we're successful with this now, like let's experiment with this, which is why, like, I think, like I said a moment ago, you gotta, the craziest of people sometimes come up with the best of ideas that just like shape society. And in the moment, people are like, oh, this is so trash, it's never gonna work out. And then like it just completely blows up.
Right.
If they design like a protein shake to like regenerate brain cells, like I'll take a couple cases of that shit. No joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think everybody could use some, not just me. But that'd be fucking pretty dope if they could, because I would love to go back to like my original self, like when I had like the most brain cells, because I must have been fucking just a genius. I must have been fantastic.
I don't know. I think the brain cells that I killed were brain cells that I didn't need because number one, I'm still here, but also I think I killed the ones that cared about stupid shit because I don't give a fuck about much anymore. So I think that's good. I think maybe you have to kill some of them. Otherwise you're like a little paranoid fucking piece of shit that I used to be anyway. I was just scared of everything and I was a little fucking wiener.
That's what she said.
Capital
Yeah, I tell people this all the time. Like, everyone in life says like, yeah, I really don't give a damn. But then like, or I just don't give a shit. People are like, oh, I don't care. But then like those people are the ones who care to some extent. But then there's me. And it's just like, when I say I don't give a damn, like I wholeheartedly mean like, I really don't give a damn, and a lot of people perceive like that as like, oh, this guy's a jerk, or he's being like super arrogant, or he's self-centered. And it goes back to like the toxic workplace type thing. There's just certain people that like, because of their personality or like who they are, I just like do not want to be bothered by, and I don't give a damn about like what they have to say, now I respect them. Exactly. Like I respect them as human beings and stuff. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to deal with them. So when they tell me something, it's just like, yeah, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I don't give two fucks. Anybody asks me for anything, I'm like, I don't care. I just don't. I don't care. Like, but when I say I say it in kind of like a funny way, so people can't really call me a jerk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo,
fuck.
Does this look good? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, whatever, man. What are we doing? Like, I don't care.
I think I speak in code, right? When I'm like, I don't give a fuck, that means I actually care because I took the time to say I don't give a fuck, right? But when like I actually like trying to be sincere, like that's just all bullshit.
That's right.
Now, let me ask you a question here. Ready? So the stuff with Neuralink, right? And all that stuff. Eventually, are they going to find some way that will never die? And then also, are you afraid to die?
Man. You're crushing with the transitions, man. God, that's where I enter the commercial breaks, man. It's fucking perfect.
Yeah. So no joke. If you could, if they found a way to live forever, would you do it?
Yes.
You would live on this planet forever?
Damn right.
I would.
Actually, no. Let me think about this.
No fucking way.
No, I would like to extend it, but in the body I am now. Like, I don't want to be like 100 years old and just not be able to walk and shit.
Yeah.
Then I would be able. I want to extend it, but then eventually, I'm not like really afraid to die. I'm kind of more interested to see like where you go next, like what realm you go next. Like it's kind of like exciting in a way. Not that I would just off myself like now just to get there. Like I'm not insane. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like that's how I feel. I know some people like are scared to like die in general. Like you don't want to be like, at your deathbed, like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die. I want to be like, all right. So where the fuck am I going? Like, who's with me? So, I mean, that's how I kind of feel about it.
Well, I mean, kind of to like sort of piggyback on the whole Neuralink thing. I don't know if any of you guys saw the Netflix show. It had 2 seasons. It just kind of went off the air. It was called Altered Carbon.
I watched a little bit and I really liked it, but I think after the first season, I just never got back into it.
Yeah, because there was like a 18-month gap or some shit. Yeah. Like it was definitely a long layoff, and then they didn't renew it. So you're like, fuck it at that point, right? Mm-hmm. But I happened to watch full season. But that's sort of the only kind of way I could think you could live without it. So here, Mike, you got to take this into perspective, right? What if like your everything is just like kind of kept in like this disc that goes in the back of your head, and like the more money you got or the more people that revive you, you could only end up like looking like Brad Pitt, or you could fucking be like fucking you are currently, or you could end up fucking in a body like I don't know, fucking the worst body you could think of.
Definitely. I mean, if I say Brad Pitt, I'm gonna sound gay. So definitely my body. Like I want to be back in my body, you know? Yeah, but yeah, they'll imagine like having like a disc that you just fucking shove in the back of your head and shit. It's all fucking like all data and shit. But then you could actually change. Like, yeah, that'd be fucking wild, man.
That would be pretty much the way I could see it actually being done, or where I would like maybe be acceptable of it. Because if there is going to be people living on Mars and all that shit, it ain't happening during our lifetime. Not the way we want it to. You know what I mean? Like maybe some astronauts will go up there and shit like that, but ain't going to be people just chilling there, living there, swimming in a fucking pool under a tank. You know? That ain't happening. That's good. That's like a fucking 1,000 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 500 or something. Right. But like, so that would be the only way you could actually see shit like that. And who knows? Maybe at that point we will find out that like there's aliens on the other side of the moon, or they're gonna come by and visit us and be like, what the fuck are you doing on this planet? You know, I don't know.
You know, it would suck. You know, you ever doing like construction work and you're like, fuck, man, I forgot something at Home Depot, right? Like, what happens when you get to Mars and you're like, fuck, man, we got all these 2x4s, but Jimmy didn't get the box of screws, man.
Imagine you're on Mars, like, I forgot my underwear. Fuck.
Free balling.
That's it, right? You fucked up the box of screws. You just fucked up a week's worth of work.
They're throwing you right off Mars. They're throwing you right off.
That's it. Like, yo, you're taking a 2.5 year trip back to Earth. All right, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah. And guess what, asshole? You're driving. I'll see you in 10 years, you piece of shit.
We don't give no fucks.
I mean, listen, it'll be a crazy way to off people, though, right? Like I'll tell you, I'm never gonna be able to not picture Total Recall. Like, yo, there's got to be like an emergency door, a hatch, or some kind of shit that'll be like, you know, equipped at that time. You gotta get rid of a body, just throw that motherfucker outside. He gets evaporated up like zip. There goes the body. Yeah. Peace out. Way more crime up there.
Floats around for a couple seconds and just disintegrates.
Yeah, that's it. Boom, done. You're just fucking red dust.
Yeah, the mob would fucking have Mars all over.
Oh man, that should be all corrupt up there. You go up there, there'll be casinos, hookers, drugs, everything. That's it.
No doubt.
Must be like, yo, that's what you just said. Like, there's no more jail. Just go to Mars.
Yo, they already got that shit, man. They already got that shit on lockdown. Fucking Jimmy Hoffa. That's where Jimmy Hoffa is buried. Fucking Mars.
Yeah.
They're sending like all the elite smart people up there, and they got this guy fucking Giovanni Fajula McGillicuddy on the thing. And like, why is this fucking guy here? Don't worry about why I'm here. All right.
You never see me.
Yeah, you never see me. I'll be on the other side of Mars. Don't worry about me.
No, but you guys, you know, about the whole of the realm thing, you brought up an interesting thing on one of your prior pods where you mentioned that, like, you know, and I don't remember the guy's name that you had mentioned, but he, you know, you go up when you die and like, you kind of like regroup and then like try to create this plan and then come back down. Yeah. Well, you guys don't want me up there. I'm like, yo, we fucked up. I'm like, this is bullshit, man. We trying to put this pod together. Motherfucking Elon Musk has got fucking more money than multiple countries and shit. What did we do? We gotta rethink this shit, bro. Where the fuck is Elon Musk's clubhouse?
Yeah, Jules is part of our mastermind group.
Oh God, have you let it in? Help!
But his hair is beautiful.
Oh, I said, you know, like if that's the shit, I'm like, God damn it. And then all of a sudden, like the worst thing that can happen is like, and I hope it's like sort of like the Matrix where they like start replaying shit. I'm like, oh, this is you back then. This is you then. This is you now. Right. I'm like, oh, it was me. I fucked up. I'm like, oh, man. All right, I'm just going to sit back on this one.
Imagine that, though. You really are part of the group and everybody else nailed it and you fucked up. Yeah. Now we all got to go back.
You know, like, oh, motherfucker. And none of us remember that shit till we go back.
Yep. But we're all still up there, though, like partying, like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like if there's 2 different like us's or like 30 different us's and we're like, and we're watching us right now, like, Nick, don't fuck this up. You fucked it up 40 times already.
Right. I can't keep watching this show.
It's the worst show ever.
Don't I have more control over the sim? What is this shit?
Like, look at this dumbass.
Sim Earth. Wait, so you said, are you afraid to die?
No, I think like kind of like China. I mean, I think it's, you know, intriguing, but obviously I wouldn't want to be like whatever 112 years old and then be like all old, broken down. I think like if I'm gonna live forever, then I would want to have like a lot of, you know, I would want to be able to like experience all like the modern, I guess, like, you know, technology or like all the new inventions that would want to come out and have like I guess the stamina and the energy to like be able to do, all that type of stuff.
Right.
Like wake me up every 1,000 years. Give me like 1,000-year naps. Wake me up just so I can see what the fuck it looks like. That'd be pretty interesting to wake up like every 1,000 years. Like, yo, I just woke up in the year 8,000. This shit is crazy up here.
Yeah, Mike wakes up and there's a little note. There's a sticky note. Gone to Mars. Be back soon.
Say hi to your mom.
Wait, Mike, what do you think the world will look like in 8,000 though?
Wow, in 8,000 years?
Oh my God.
Like I think we'll be inside the matrix by then. We'll be all computer programs.
Yeah.
Like our souls will be like Jules was saying, like maybe like downloaded in the back of your on a disc that you put in your head. I think people are gonna be able to fucking do that shit somehow, man.
Access to other dimensions.
I don't know, like if there's gonna be flying cars or any of that fucking shit, but I mean, I don't know.
Imagine it's like a video game. You can control it. You can access. Oh, I'm going to level fucking 10 today. Fuck it. And you're in another dimension. You're hanging out with Jules 0.0.
Jules 0.0.
His hair's longer. He's fucking crazy. He's even more insane.
Or it's the fucking opposite, right? And it's almost as if everything just sort of repeats itself. And we reach this pinnacle point, and it's like the great flood, it's the great disaster, it's all this shit that we've sort of read about, from biblical terms. And that's what happens. We get too fucking far advanced, and we end up destroying ourselves, and then civilization has to kind of basically start over.
Right.
So it could be that. You could like literally be back there, and all of a sudden it's like fucking Julius Caesar 2.0. Like some shit like that. And like he's fucking invaded, and you got like fucking like horses and elephants and shit fighting each other. You're like, oh, what the fuck, man? Really?
Yo, what if you wake up and you're the only human left, and there's a whole new species of shit going on? Yo, that would fucking like gigantic like ants and shit that fucking talk to each other, some shit. Like,
and then they just keep you they keep you in captivity and just poke you all day, and then they can't understand what you're saying because you're stupid and they're so much smarter than you.
Imagine you get trapped, you like walk into one of their bars and then music stops, and then the fuck they listen to in the year 8,000, they just turn their heads like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, look at this asshole.
And then you play tequila, like fucking.
And then they're like, you in the wrong neighborhood, buddy.
Oh shit!
Definitely the wrong part of town.
You start dancing like Pee Wee Herman on the bar, and they don't kill you.
This big dumb fucking white shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
shit. Vaccines.
I was gonna do a quick segue there, right?
Yeah, do it. Thank you.
Or would it be that the world economy is now controlled by crypto? Oh! I thought you were doing it, Mike. I saw that shit being teed up to you with the shirt and everything, bro. I was waiting for you to send that home. I was like, yo, dude, this is it. You got it. Just take it.
I thought we were going to talk about it before with Elon Musk, man, talking about his Dogecoin.
I know, but it was all right.
He's paying for SpaceX in Dogecoin. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's insane, dude.
That is
crazy. If that doesn't say it's going to be a future currency that we're going to use, I don't know what else it says, man. Like people are into it. Fucking celebrities are fucking buying it. Like, it's one of the best investments I ever did was fucking buying that piece of shit coin. It doesn't even make sense. The only reason I bought it, this is the only reason I bought it. It was on fucking Robinhood, right? And Robinhood, you could buy Bitcoin, and then they had this cheap ass coin, Dogecoin. You could fucking buy like, 1 million shares for like $4,000 at the time, right? Which I did, but it's like, so it's like it was a joke. I was like, it's a fucking joke that I just bought this. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking actually going up. Like the only reason I bought it because I figured if like people were buying Bitcoin, they see this cheap coin and they just start scooping that shit up for fucking no reason, like me. And people did, but it just blew up into something craziness. And now it could turn into a future currency, which is just, man, who would have fucking thought, man?
Yeah. I think like if you switch, let's just say the whole world switches to like cryptocurrency, you know how many issues you're throwing out at the window at that point, because like one of the big issues is just like if I want to go from like, I don't know, US to like somewhere in Europe, for example, like there's a different currency, and sometimes I might like having to like exchange rates and all that stuff, and I would have to like, sometimes I'm like losing money, or like if I got to send some money to some place, like I gotta like send money, or I gotta like pay money basically to like send money, and all of a sudden like you bring in cryptocurrency, now everyone around the world is gonna have like one like equally valued like currency. I think like, you know, you would probably see a shift away from stuff like, you know, wealth inequality and stuff, you know, because everyone like cryptocurrency at this point, I think it's like it's the invention of the 21st century, because people, they talk so much about like, yeah, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong, and where do all the issues go back to? For some reason it's always the money, right? And if you get like one universal system, then you're solving like all these other problems that exist.
You're describing a coin called XLM, Stellar. That's the one that's like it exchanges all these different cryptocurrencies like within seconds. So you could pay in like US dollar, pesos, to Ripple, to all these other different coins, Bitcoin, and then it automatically changes to whatever currency you want. And that's what this company is doing. They're going after the unbanked, because everybody's got a fucking cell phone. Not everybody got a bank account. And if people could afford or just like have like these lumens, they call Stellar Lumens, XLM, it just, you could do everything with your phone, which is just fucking crazy. It's like they're gonna eliminate Western Union, where you have to pay like fucking $500 to send like $20. You know, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. And another thing that doesn't make sense is like people carrying around pieces of paper and calling it value. Like we're in the golden, like a great age of technology. We're carrying around dollars, it called pieces of paper in our wallets. It doesn't make any sense.
I love carrying around pieces of paper in my wallet. I feel like a fucking man when I have cash in my wallet.
You feel like, yeah, you feel like a Monopoly man. You think
I love it. I love using cash.
Bills.
I love fucking having cash in my pocket. I'm never walking around with, if I have no cash in my pocket, number one, I can't go to certain places like Candlelight. You said you might not know about Candlelight. You probably don't, because you live in Chicago. But it has the best chicken wings on the fucking planet, and they don't take credit card, and they don't even have a fucking ATM in their restaurant.
The camel fucking bites you or something, dude. For those of you that are obviously not watching what our screen says, you might want to, because it was pretty funny when he's got the huge camera in the background. He just started flipping out, so I don't know how.
That's one of the bloopers.
It licked him on the back of the neck.
You guys put this on YouTube too, because if you're doing this, might be a YouTube moment. All right?
Yes, it goes on YouTube.
It's like a Geico commercial and shit with a fucking camera.
Okay, so
listen, though, I'll tell you guys, you know, there's this whole crypto shit the way it is currently. It's never going to exist like this. It's just not. There's never going to be one world currency. Like, that's just total bullshit. Yeah, we're going to live in a world with no borders. Like, get the fuck out of here. Look, I don't know if you guys how familiar you are with the petrodollar. You guys ever heard of the petrodollar?
No.
So basically, the petrodollar was invented in the early 70s, and it was an agreement with the United States and Saudi Arabia to make it so that any kind of exchange of oil, whether it be from a producer or someone who's importing, exporting, had to be done in US dollar currency, nothing else. I don't care what country you are, you have to pay US dollars to get it. Matter of fact, they even fucking sell it. They have to sell that shit in US dollars. There has been wars fought over that. There has been probably, maybe even possibly presidents that were fucking in jeopardy of fucking being assassinated, like Kennedy and other ones, right? But that's another one for conspiracies. We'll get into that in another day. But that's where they control things. And because of that control, the only way that any of this kind of, I'm not saying that this crypto stuff won't become something of the future. And I would recommend everyone to at least learn and get familiar with it and see how these things evolve. Because at some point in time, it's going to be like JP Morgan has one and they call their shit like P Morgan. And that's fucking their crypto shit and fucking, you know. Yeah, you know, all that kind of nonsense. Because right now, I mean, look, you got this like billionaire guy who invented Bitcoin. His name, what is it? Satoshi Nakamoto. I probably fucking destroyed that name, but pretty damn close. Right? Yo, that dude, they don't even really know who he is. You can barely find pictures of the dude online. And he's worth $253 billion in Bitcoin. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. You think government and shit like that is going to allow that kind of shit to continue? Bro, no fucking way. It'll be fucking regulated. It'll be mainstreamed. It'll be fucking done like it is with every other fucking thing that the you know, countries have done over the last fucking thousands of years and shit like that. That's the only thing that kind of sucks with it. But do I see that happening? Do I see that eventually at some point, you'll no longer get a paycheck because they already do direct deposit and all that kind of shit. And there probably will be a time in our, maybe even possibly in our life where we don't use that cash anymore. Yeah, that's a reality, but it'll be so regulated it won't even be funny.
You want to know where Suzuki Yakamoshi is?
I do actually.
He's tied up Bitcoin. He's tied up in my basement. He's tied up in my basement with G Steel.
That's funny.
But, you know, that's just the only thing I feel with that shit. Yeah, unfortunately, listen, I'll never forget there was a commercial. I think it was probably 10 years ago or not. And it was when Visa was like trying to like say, oh, look, you could just tap and pay. And it was like, oh, look, you don't have to wait online anymore. Just tap and pay. Just tap and pay. And like they shut that commercial down, right? Like literally that shit was out for like 6 months. And then you never saw another commercial that was like in that manner again, where it was just like, oh my God, you're using cash? Like, get the fuck out of here, idiot. And like, you know, they got away with all that bullshit because the government doesn't have like control over it quite yet. So that's why they can't just fully go on into that type of thing. But if you want to kind of be funny about it, you guys remember that movie? And I don't remember the name of it, but it was with Justin Timberlake and this other chick where time? Like they pay for everything with time and shit. When your time ran out, you were done. And you go, that's the other realm right there. You run out of time.
Time.
I don't know. That's just my take when it comes to that shit.
It's a good take.
The realm.
Who knows? Only time will tell, as they say.
But I do, like I said, if you are out there and you're a skeptic like myself, my recommendation is to definitely at least familiarize yourself with it, because the last thing you want is for that shit to full shift change and you got to start learning that shit from like the bottom up. Like that'd be the worst thing. Like people that like refuse to like learn, like, you know, like all the people that don't want to email, they barely want to turn on a fucking computer, all this shit. And now you're living in this world with this. So like, I get a flip phone and I get a house phone. What else do I need? Like, yeah, that's go with the times a little bit, at least familiarize yourself with this shit. So if the change happens, you're at least, you know, not like fucking lost.
The world's changed, man. Like it's crazy. Like, look what year we're in. You know, remember how it was like 1990 and shit? You know what I mean? The world, complete like fucking 180, man. It's crazy. 360. I don't know. I don't know my numbers that well.
The 2021.
You know, we went through everything, man. We went through a fucking pandemic. We went through fucking Bitcoin revolution. We went through everything. Nick, right? What do you think? What do you think about that?
Nice, Mike. Nice setup.
Yeah. Nice setup, baby.
Vaccines, man. Vaccines are crazy. So apparently some colleges, CUNY and SUNY in New York, aren't letting your ass back into college unless you have proof of vaccination, which
I don't like that.
Pretty fucking crazy, man. I mean, you can't go to a Yankee game right now, right? Without vaccination.
You have to have a non positive test in the last 72 hours. You can go and you can show that and go to the game. That's how it's currently sitting. It could change. Right? No, they do free testing all the time.
They do? Okay.
Yeah, it's free testing.
I thought you had to pay. Okay.
At least in New York City. I don't know about up in Westchester, but like, you know, like I walked by a free testing one, like fucking like 2 of them a day. We just like going from the gym back and forth to the house. And I'm like, do I want to get tested? I'm like, I got nowhere to go except back to the house. So I'm good. Plus, I don't know, man. Like, there's something about like a motorhome when they come inside, they stick this fucking thing up your nose like this and shit. They're like, oh yeah, you're good. Like, am I though?
We're all gonna walk around.
Like you just took a little brain particle out of there. Like, what'd you do?
We're all just gonna walk around with. We're gonna walk around with those Q-tips violated. Dude, I had the test done one time. I never want to do it again. And it wasn't even that bad. I've heard fucking horror stories where they're like, that guy fucking scraped my brain. My brain was on that thing. Like this guy was nice and gentle. And I was like, I never want this ever again. But like, I'm not getting tested to go to a Yankee game. Number one, Yankee games fucking suck. Baseball games suck. They're much more fun to watch on TV.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that, man. I'm not getting and if I can't travel without a vaccine, then I'm not fucking traveling anymore. I'll fucking drive. I'll drive to Cuba.
That's right. I don't like fucking people telling me like what I have to do. It just doesn't, you know.
Elon Musk is gonna create tunnels anyway, so I'll just drive to Cancun.
I thought you were gonna say like El Chapo created a bunch of tunnels. You can just go in and out of Mexico through that fucking things. It's gotta be careful.
El Chapo.
That's what I know about fucking tunnels. I'm sure there's tunnels between fucking New York and Canada and shit.
You don't be caught down there, man. You'll definitely get El Chapo. Be like, what are you doing here?
You better go up north and try to like just sneak across the border to Canada. At least they catch you up there. Be like, come on, you want to fucking be in the States right now?
Imagine you can't get into Canada right now. Isn't that insane?
You can't play baseball up there.
Yeah.
You can't go to Toronto. They won't let the Yankees go play. Where?
Toronto has to play by themselves.
Who wins the game? Who wins the game?
Now Toronto has to play. They play in Buffalo, so they come down. They have to stay in New York in Buffalo. Can you imagine? They have to stay in Buffalo in hotels.
It's the worst place
to travel to other teams.
That's one of the worst places on the planet to stay.
It's like being on the road. You're not home, so like you're at a disadvantage, man. You actually feel bad for them. But that's where
honey. Honey, I have a new family in Buffalo now. I couldn't stay away for 2 months. I had to create a new family. Yeah, I don't know, man. The vaccine shit is like, how could you? I mean, I understand, like, I understand it partially, but like, you're gonna start controlling people what you can and can't do based upon the vaccine. Like, these kids can't go back to school. Like, I mean, kids in grammar school can't even go to certain schools if your parents want to be, my kid's not getting the vax. I'm anti-vaccine.
They don't even get sick.
It's crazy, man.
Dude, it's like 90% of people that get sick from COVID or end up in the hospital, they're all overweight, obese, or just like unhealthy bastards.
I mean, a lot of them. So sometimes it fucks people up that
I know.
That didn't have any of that. So we all know that. I mean, but
I know.
No, yeah, but the fucking, I don't know, if 60% of the population gets vaccinated, the herd immunity thing is supposed to be something, right? So eventually, in a couple of years, it's going to be like, okay, it's not really a factor anymore, right? Like, I had it; it didn't affect me anywhere near as fucking bad as some people, which means to me that if I get it again, it's going to affect me the same fucking way,
right?
It's not going to be worse for me if it's the same fucking strand. Obviously, if it's a stronger strand, it could fucking hit me worse. But I'm not getting the fucking vaccine, which is based upon the strand that I just fucking had, to be sick for a fucking day or two, or maybe have even a fucking worse reaction. I'm not doing that to myself.
Hell no.
You know, to go to a Yankee game?
Away.
So I had to, because I work in education, and I had to like get the vaccine because my district was like going back into school, and they made like all the teachers get it. My mom was actually also forcing me to try and get it because she wanted to go on like an out-of-state vacation. Now I'll say this, right, is I think like the whole like, so the thing that they're doing in New York where it's just like you college unless like you have the vaccine, you know, as someone who is a recent college grad, I would be like, hold on, so I just paid you guys like thousands of dollars per year, and I'm the reason your university is running, and now all of a sudden you're.
Oh, the camel got him again.
They killed him. They killed him. The CIA got him.
The camel did his number.
Oh, that was it. He was passing on some good knowledge, man. Elon Musk got him.
You said we lost you, bro. We can't hear you for shit right now. I don't know if you can hear us, but wherever you are, we can't hear you. We hope you're safe.
Hold on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, twice if you're okay.
You switched to Verizon.
So what I'll say is like I got the vaccine, you know, it knocked me out honestly for like 2 days where like I had to drive into school the next day because I work in education, and on the way to school, like I bought like an 8-pack Gatorade or something because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to drink this all day because I was just like super freaking weak. But I've talked to people that are like, yeah, I'm not getting the vaccine just yet because like, you know, here in Illinois, like the appointments were so backed up in my area to the point where it was like whatever, February or March. And, you know, I see a schedule leak here. The Giants are opening up their season at home against the Broncos.
What?
Fun. Yeah.
Dude, that's just terrible, bro. Like, I don't want that fight. I'd be like, oh, God. All right. So, for, you know, make sure you listen out for Big Blue Offensive. We're going to definitely comment on that.
but anyway, you know, like, there's certain people that I know that haven't gotten the vaccine because they're like, oh, well, I don't know what the long-term effects on my body are going to be like. And I think like that's totally a fair concern because like here in Illinois, you know, everyone, as soon as they announced like these are the groups of people that get the vaccine, pretty much everyone flooded to like go get the vaccine to the point where the you know, appointments were backed up for like whatever, like 5 or 6 months, you know. But like at the end of the day, going back to like the whole thing in New York, I mean, if I was a college student, like I'm not a college student anymore, but I would tell people like, all right, hold on. So or tell the school administration, like, you're not letting me come back in. So how are you going to pay all your expenses and stuff? Because you're paying your expenses through me. And if I pay like thousands of dollars, it should be like my right or like my choice to be able to like get the vaccine or not. It shouldn't just be this whole thing of like, oh, you don't have a vaccine, so now we're not going to like guarantee you the right to an education. Like some virus should not dictate like what I can and can't do in society.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I think people are stupid. Like in the beginning, like when people were getting sick or whatever, I'm like, all right, like everybody just fucking stay home for fucking like a couple weeks or whatever. And this way that shit don't spread, and then we won't need to get this fucking vaccine or whatever, because that shit won't just spread all over to the fucking goddamn world. But people are so fucking arrogant, they just like, all right, now I'm gonna fucking go to this party or whatever. I'm gonna go to this bar, I'm gonna go this, and like they're becoming like super spreaders. If you just did the right thing, then we wouldn't have to be still wearing a fucking mask to this day. Like at the same time, like, but we didn't have no fucking leadership. Like if I was like a leader of this fucking country, like I would have been like, all right, everybody just chill for fucking 2 weeks. Everybody's fucking on vacation. Stay the fuck home, and then we're good. And then how could shit spread if everybody's just fucking at home doing the same shit?
Yeah, that was my biggest thing too. Cause like here in my area, cause like the county I live in was like the #2 county in the US for like COVID cases like this time last year or something, and behind like New York only, I think. And my whole thing was like, okay, well, just stay home, because if you want, like, the quicker the cases go down, the more like we can get back to normal, but obviously for people, they didn't want to do that and they got bored, and it was more so of like, all right, do you want to only have this thing be like a short-term issue, or do you want to have this thing be something that drags out for like, what does it do, like 14 months at this point, And I swear, like, if we didn't have like the football season in the fall, like it would have been like the most damn like depressing year on the planet, because like all I do on Sundays is watch football. But like more so what it is it's just like every single time it seemed like cases would go down and things would open back up, especially here in the Midwest, it was like, nope, people had to take advantage of like the limited or like lifted restrictions and like ruin everything all over again. And it's just like, yo, there's just a certain group of people, like there's probably like 500 people who like ruined it for everyone else.
Yeah, they're hopping on airplanes, they're fucking going to parties, they're going to dinners. It's fucking bullshit.
The thing is this, like, if they, I mean, I guess fucking hindsight is fucking 2020, as they say. I hate saying stupid shit like that, but like, literally, all you had to do was shut every country down for a month. Nobody's allowed to leave the country, right? Ration your toilet paper properly. Use one little fucking sheet of toilet paper per wipe. And fucking certain people are allowed to go get their groceries. You have to fucking ration your food. You have to live like you are in the end of the world fucking survival mode, right? And then hand out the stimulus checks to everybody immediately, right? So everybody's not fucking poor.
Yes.
However, this is the thing though. That would work if it wasn't for the fact that they were fucking spraying it with chemtrails and just killing us all throughout the fucking They were dropping COVID-19 in their chemtrails.
They don't.
Some people might call me crazy.
They don't want us alive. No fucking way.
They were doing that. They were 100% doing that, because I've seen when there were no flights going on in the country, I saw airplanes going up in the sky, crisscross like this, going up into the air with their fucking chemtrails going down.
Did you not video record this?
No, I didn't, because I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Man.
Dude, the airlines were shut down. 2 airplanes crisscrossing with chemtrails going over the fucking streets of Yonkers. It's like, what the fuck is that?
And we don't say anything about it. We just like, oh, it's just airplanes up there.
Was it just 2 like people in the Air Force that were like, hey man, want to go crisscross? Want to cross streams today, man?
Yeah, fuck it. They're like, wow, nobody else is flying.
They poured it all over the place, man. So how do certain people that never left their house still get the coronavirus, right? They were getting their shit. Okay. The guy that dropped it off to you might have fucking sneezed on his hand and fucking shit.
Yeah, right.
But come on, man. You open your window a little bit, the corona fucking poured into your fucking house.
Well, that's because they got the vaccine, bro. There's been so many reported cases now, people who got vaccinated, and then 2-3 months down the line ended up with corona.
Got it.
Like what the fuck? Like seriously? Like I want to take
their base coach tonight, Jules.
Yeah,
Phil Nevin.
Well, right. That's why, like I said, I got the vaccine. Well, here's the thing, right? I think a lot of people that got the vaccine got into this like mindset of, am fully vaccinated now, I'm never going to get it, which means like I'm not going to do basic stuff that they taught us in like kindergarten or preschool, which is like wash your hands, or like that's one thing I remember from preschool.
You saying Phil Nevin never washed his hands right there. You just heard it here on the podcast. Phil Nevin does not wash his hands.
You said
why?
what?
He doesn't know how to do the happy birthday song.
You said who? You said huh?
So
just do the happy birthday song, it all goes away.
More what it is it's just like the people who got the vaccine were like, oh my God, I don't have to like follow any of the restrictions anymore.
Yeah.
When they also don't realize that like they make you sign, because they made me sign like a consent form and everything, which is basically saying, hey, we're not responsible if like something happens to you, is what it was. And so like all these people that like went and got the vaccine, stopped socially distancing, like pretty much stopped wearing masks, or like just didn't wear their masks properly. Like, I'm not surprised that they got sick again, because this virus is like a relatively new phenomenon that like we're still finding like more and more information out. But then there's also certain people like me who got the vaccine, but then also just decided that like people are just like this is the one thing I've learned during coronavirus is people are just like stupider than I originally thought. So I'm still gonna do everything like pre-vaccine, like socially distance, wash my hands, because like you can't trust like anyone nowadays, because anyone could be like a COVID hotbed. Like one of my friends got COVID, right? And they straight up had this guy quarantining in a hotel on a college campus, and they straight up had him quarantining in a hotel room for like 2 weeks or something. He had to quarantine for like whatever, I think like total a month, because he apparently got exposed on like 2 separate occasions. And like he got the 2-dose one. I mean, I got the 1-dose shot, but still, it's just like you can never be too careful.
I'll be the unlucky one that gets the vaccine, and the vaccine just kills all my brain cells. I just walk out of there fucking like
all remaining brain cells gone. Listen, I still want to know, and how come the CDC or any of these World Health Organizations haven't released the fact that we've been through SARS, we've been through swine flu, we've been through the other fucking the other kind of flu that was going on down in Mexico like fucking a few years back.
Herpes flu.
Zika.
Yeah. But listen, how come all this shit happened and yet none of that shit spread or did anything like this fucking corona one day, this COVID shit? Like, it don't make no sense to me. Like, I know, Mike, you said this 100 times that this shit was like made in a lab, but like, it makes you think like this weird G strand just came fucking out of nowhere and affected not like just like United States, but like the entire world. Like, come on.
It's because it was made in a lab. I'll be back.
I'd rather have cold symptoms than herpes. I tell you that. Imagine herpes was just flying all around the world, and then you just catch herpes by just fucking walking outside or fucking seeing somebody.
Okay, well, it depends what kind of country you're in, but it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, I think like when you look at like, so obviously this thing, like I'm pretty sure it started from like a bat or something, and then like a human ate a bat and like caught it. Or I saw some video on YouTube from Box, which was like, oh, it started at like one of the like wet markets in China or something. But I think like, this thing like started from an animal, then spread like to a human, and then like people passed it and stuff, Whereas you look at like some of this other stuff like Zika or whatever, those things originally were just like found in like found in human, or like just found in like, I don't know, like things that were so specific to those countries. Like I'm pretty sure the Zika virus, which it affected like what?
Zika.
Yeah, the Zika thing, right? That affected like Brazil or whatever, like 6 or 7 years ago. That was all stuff that like started, because I'm pretty sure there were like mosquito species that were like very native to Brazil, or like some animal or something that could only like be found in Brazil that like, affected everything. But like ultimately this thing, it just seems like it traveled so fast to the point where like it also you have to understand with the other viruses, right? You saw symptoms like immediately, so you were able to shut it down. Whereas with this one, like you didn't know for like whatever, like 10 days afterwards that like, oh, someone has it, which means like theoretically you could have been in like Europe, caught the virus, and then come to the US like a week later, and then within like another 5 or 6 days, like all of a sudden now that like you caught the virus, or like you've been exposed to coronavirus, because you may have been carrying it, you just don't know that you were.
So you mentioned the bat and you mentioned human contact with it and all this shit. So you mean to tell me it's all Randy Marsh's fault from South Park, right?
I was thinking the same
Him and
shit,
fucking
Jules.
Mickey Mouse, those son of a bitches.
So people that don't know, if they ever watch the South Park episode, the Pandemic special, fucking Randy Marsh, Stan's dad, hangs and parties with Mickey Mouse, and he's like,
Get the fuck, get the
and he makes Randy Marsh fuck a bat, and then that's how the pirate starts. Oh, dude, and then he thinks like that. All of a sudden, like, oh, it wasn't from a bat. Then he's like, he fucks like a pendinolium, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, dude. If you haven't seen that South Park episode, just fucking watch that.
It's on HBO Max. It's on a few other things. Comedy Central. It's definitely worth the watch. It was hilarious.
Dude, I laughed so hard, man, when I see it. Just the fact that he's partying with fucking Mickey Mouse and Mickey Mouse is an asshole.
You don't.
So I can watch that.
Did he end up shooting me like that? You little piece of shit.
Oh, that's fucking great, man.
But I don't know what side to believe, because like when I think about it all and like do whatever limited research I do, usually tends to go upon like the insane side of what happened to all this shit. And like my personal beliefs are insane. Like either our government or whatever government put it out there, just wants to fucking mind control everybody and just fuck everybody and destroy the economy in order for them to fucking win somehow. But then I have a friend that like is very into the factual side of things and not the stupid idiot things that I think about. And he's like, bro, he's like, number one, the vaccine's fucking safe. Like these people are doing this, that, and the other things in it. And the reason why the virus came about is because in China, they keep these food out and bats just shit all over it. And then they eat it and somebody gets sick and then it spreads. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then like 2 hours later, I'm like, nah, the government's trying to kill us. So I don't really know what to fucking believe because I'm nuts. So I don't know. I don't fucking know, man.
I'm just ready, dude, for like the whole thing to like be over. Like once we reach like, I don't know, what was it, like Nick said, like herd immunity or whatever Fauci was like going on about last year, and once like enough people have it to the point where like you know that like enough people got the vaccine to the point where it's safe to just like go back to whatever's considered like normal is going to be fine. Because then eventually like what's going to happen is, you know, there's going to be people that are vaccinated against it that could get sick again, like Jules mentioned. There's also people who've never been vaccinated, they're going to get sick for the first time. But eventually it's just going to become like another one of those things where it's just like, oh, so you got you got COVID-19. That's cool. Just rest up for 14 days and then get back to your normal life.
Right.
Or just stop fucking, doing stuff with bats. Like stop fucking bats. Stop eating bats.
Right.
Stop going hanging out at Bats' house. Like just like stay the fuck away from bats.
I'm hanging out with Mickey Mouse.
Doesn't make sense if those fucking evil creatures that fucking sleep upside down, like they're fucking weird. Like why would you want to be around them? Like
why would you want to sleep with someone who's upside down? That's the thing.
It's just fucking scary, man. They're fucking rats that could fly sometimes.
Listen, it doesn't make any sense. That Spanish flu thing that was an epidemic back in 1918 lasted to 1919, and that was it. And by 1920, you didn't hear nothing else, right? Sure, I think if anything, the economy went fucking crazy at the roaring 20s. Like shit went nuts after that. So what the fuck? Well, here we are this day and age with more technology that we know what to do with. And yet we're still like, you know what? We got 3 of these different vaccines. One, you got to take 2 shots. Another one, you got to take 1 shot. We had a recall one. We put it back on the market. We're going to make this mandated, but we're not. It's safe. Go ahead. Like, fuck
yeah,
you.
that's so I was telling a coworker, right? I'm like, yeah, this is the biggest issue is like back then, because like obviously there was also like the bubonic plague, which like swept through Europe in the Middle Ages, around that time. But like, back then they didn't have all this technology, but they seemingly like handled it so much safer and in a better manner compared to like now when we got all this modern technology and all this research and the ability to like combat everything, and just like shut things down instantly. But we're still here and we got so many people that are, because like people are just inherently selfish, and they're like, all right, well, screw it. Like, it's my life, my choice. So like, I'm not gonna like get something, which is like, I totally agree with it. Like, you know, you do whatever the hell you want. Because again, it is your life. So it is your choice with whatever you do. But then at the end of the day, it's just like, yo, we've been in this thing for what, like 15 months, what is it, like 14, 15 months now, and this whole thing could have been avoided had like we just decided to like shut down for 14 days, you know. And people obviously didn't see like, oh, would you rather be in this thing for 14 days or 14 months?
Right.
Yeah, for real.
You're right, Doug.
It definitely took its toll, but I mean, are there positives and negatives to all this? Like for me, this whole COVID thing is like kind of like a positive. Like I got to fucking chill. You know, you see what I did. Another fucking transition.
You guys, what's the point of me on here anymore? There's been two transitions without me already.
I don't know. I'm waiting for you to go, man. I'm like,
you guys, no, but you know what? I'm actually proud of you guys. You did a great job with the transitions.
So like for me anyway, I don't know if there's like positive or negatives for you guys, but for me it was kind of positive. Like I got to fucking chill at home more. So I'm like kind of like a homebody. I just like to fucking chill. Like I don't need to see people. Like it's fucking awesome. Like I don't need to go to fucking events and shit. Like if there's people graduating college or fucking weddings and shit, everything's getting postponed or whatever. So it's fantastic. I don't need to do any like fucking dumb shit. You know what I mean? So I just kind of like just chilling, man, doing things that I want, and I have a great excuse for it. Like I don't want to fucking go hang out with, like at your house and catch COVID. I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm good. Like I don't want to fucking get COVID because unless it's outside, if people have things like outside, then I'm like, all right, I'm down. I'll come fucking do the stupid event or whatever. But otherwise, like, man, I don't see no negatives for the COVID for me.
Yeah, I would say like for me, you know, the big like obviously the kind of negative was like, you know, and Mike knows, like Mike and Jules know like all the work I do with like the media and journalism. So like for me, sometimes it does suck like having to sit at like the one negative was when there were no sports last year until like baseball resumed, like, you know, whatever, sometime over the summer. But like the biggest negative for me is it's just like I'll walk to like or walk into like, I don't know, like a Starbucks or something and hope that there's like a table available there so I can just like not have to be sitting in my home all day, like doing all this work. But then there's like no tables available and I'm like, all right, damn it, like I just got to go grab my stuff and like go back home now. But like that's the only like negative for me is just like there's certain places that I can't go now just to like get out of the house because there's like limited seating capacity or they're shut down from inside. But then the positive it for me would be like I like the fact that, you know, I could schedule meetings like and just get work done like whenever, and I don't have to like take out like an hour and a half of my day to like commute, you know. Like when I was teaching online, because I've done both online and hybrid, the nice thing was I had to be in front of the computer at 7:30 in the morning Central Time, and I could literally wake up at 7:15, just get ready, throw a freaking dress shirt on, be wearing sweatpants underneath, because like the students wouldn't know, and they're only going to see from like here up.
Unless you flashed them.
Yeah. You stand up, you forget. Ah, damn it.
Yeah, but like that was.
What's up, everybody? You want to study some math today?
That was the on my dick. You know, that was like the biggest. Like that's one of the positives. Another positive for me is it's just like, okay, I am way more focused on like the podcast and like the media and journalism stuff because I'm like, you know, trying to like invest in my brands more. You know, I have like other friends who like actually they were so damn bored inside that like one of them was just like, you know, all right, I need something to do. And I'm like, idiot, you have a radio voice, like start up a podcast. And he's just like, yo, I really enjoy this. So like for me, another big positive was like helping other people achieve like, you know, and reach new heights that like they never thought that they could reach in the first place. And like I've just become more motivated in general because I've told people like, yeah, if you're not going all in on yourself, like, and you know, you're not consistently working on yourself every single day, then clearly you're doing something wrong because you can never really be like, especially when you're like in your early 20s, you know, you can never really be satisfied with where you're at in life. And so COVID has really bought, like, people don't realize it, but like COVID's bought a lot of people like so much extra time that they didn't have, because it's like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, like, you know, before you used to have to commute like whatever, an hour to and from work every single day. So you lost like 2 hours of your day just like going to work. And now all of a sudden it's just like, you didn't have to do that for so long. So you could spend that hour like working out or like, developing a new hobby or something.
You should be a motivational speaker. You're making COVID sound so good that I want another 14 months of this shit. Let's go. What about you guys? What's the positive and negatives for you?
I've been sitting back this whole time looking for positives. I'm like, let's see. Got lazy, gained weight. The gym was closed. I've been trying to go back. I had to fucking hurt my shoulder. Then I hurt my back. Then I hurt this part of my body. Like, this shit is fucking miserable, bro. I go for a walk. I go to the store and buy some fucking eggs and milk. And I'm like, man, that was a positive day. Woo! Got a lot of shit accomplished, man. Could have slaughtered some chicken on sale for like $3.99 a pound. This shit is great.
They made it so simple for us.
No, it's like too simple, man. Like Uber
I live
Eats.
like a simpleton.
Dude, it's like, wait, I can order from Uber Eats, DoorDash, fucking I know I'm forgetting some already. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like stupid. Like, if anything, it made me more lazy just because like there was nothing to really do. You know what I mean? You want to stay safe. As soon as the weather got like kind of like, nasty out, it's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna sit inside and say, like, you know what? I think I'm gonna become an alcoholic.
That happened. That certainly happened.
Yo, people became alcoholics and they adopted pets like, at the same time.
And then they returned those pets.
Well, I mean,
you said
it sounds like a great life.
I'm saying people because I saw something on Twitter today where, because offices are opening back up and stuff, people like went to, I don't know, animal shelters and like adopted pets, and now they're like returning them, which like, again, I don't have pets because like that's just too much of like, pets are just like kind of too much work for me. But I would say like, Jules, you're talking about like being lazy and whatnot, or COVID making like you lazy. I will be real, man. Like for me, the biggest downside was like my normal exercise used to be like walking to everywhere when I was in Chicago, and now it's just like, damn, I haven't been able to walk. So the first couple months I was like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with myself? And then I started running, and then I got so into the running. I mean, my alarm was going off around like 5:15 every morning, even in like, the middle of like Chicago winters. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Like, let's go out and run, because I knew immediately, like, if I'm not physically fit, then it's going to affect like if you're not physically fit, it affects you like mentally, it affects you like, emotionally. It just overall like affects you to the point where like you pretty much just feel like you're completely freaking worthless and there's like nothing to do. And like for all the people that are listening to this right now and going crazy, like, yo, another thing COVID taught me was just like, it's never too late to like start making some sort of serious change in your life, whatever the case may be. It's just a matter of like, are you going to be like everyone else and be like lazy about it? Or are you, when it comes to making change in your life, are you going to be like legitimately serious about it and be like, all right, whatever the situation or the circumstances are, like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to navigate this thing to like the best of my abilities.
And listen, you know what? Like, I was starting to feel more guilty than anything else at this point, because I'm sitting back and I see people that are like on Instagram and Twitter. They're like, look at the new fucking bod, bro. And I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, yo, you know how long in discipline you have to be to get like that? But then, out, bro. And then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I took this online French cooking class and now I can do all this crazy baking. So I'm like, damn, I should have done a hobby like that. Learned how to cook or make one. I did get a homemade cider kit. So I am going to make my own homemade cider. I'll let you guys know how that shit comes out. You guys can get all free taste. I'll even send that shit out to Chicago. I'm going to blow up like Goose Island.
Nice.
Well, you did start a new hobby though, dude, because you like got into podcasting. That's the one thing, like.
Thanks, man. Yo, you're right. You are like a motivational speaker.
Yo, you gotta have your own fucking podcast called the Podfather. Fucking motivational
My name
speaker.
Is Matt Foley.
I should, dude.
I am a motivational speaker.
He has this podcast called Smile You Got This, and he's trying to start his own photography business. He has, like 11,000 followers or something like that on TikTok. And I'm like, dude, you should take the Smile You Got This and like that entire podcast and just the premise and everything around it is like giving people, more like motivation. Cause I was listening to another show, which is called The Come Up, and in it, the CEO of Blue Wire Pods, Kevin Jones, talks about how, hey, audio is continuously becoming the future. Like sitting down, watching, like I don't sit down, I don't watch like the news or ESPN or whatever, only do it occasionally. But more so like I get a lot of my stuff from like audio. So, and like listening to podcasts, you know, just like reading headlines of articles, things like that. So I think like the future of media is changing, and like more and more people got pods. And like, you know, I told my coworker, I'm like, and my buddy too, I was just like, dude, you Smiley, you got this to like empower people, because you could at the end of the day be like the best part of someone's day. But Mike, I think I should start up something called the Podfather podcast, you know, and I can have you on there and be the host, and you and I can just go back and forth about whatever.
The
Let us go. I
motivational
mean,
speaker, man. Like, like imagine we do an opposite, like where I'm the unmotivational speaker, right? And then like people call in and I just tell them like, you're a worthless piece of shit. You know?
Mike's always drinking out of a less than half filled glass of water, and the Podfather's always drinking out of a full glass of water. It's just always filled. It never drops down ever.
First off, I am 35 years old.
Yeah, like, yo, you know what? Like, why can't they have like motivational speakers? Like for people that are just too positive.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you call
you
me,
ain't that good.
Down.
Like, calm the fuck down, all right? Like, oh, you got up at fucking 4 a.m. to go work out. Good for you, bro. That ain't normal.
You ain't special. You ain't special.
Get some sleep.
Man, why don't you sleep the noob?
You know, the people that really need that shit, let's save it for them, all right?
Yeah.
I mean,
actually pretty hilarious to do.
Realistically, I could be the freaking type of person that, like, you know, you don't want to make an enemy out of me, because I could build you up and be your best friend. Because I told people, I'm like, yo, I could either be your best friend or your worst enemy. It's just you pick and choose.
That's the commercial you use for your motivational podcast. Right there. That's the commercial.
Mm-hmm. Yo, well, I could be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yo, did you text that to MB Breast?
I did not do. So side story, going back to the start of the show and the podcast, you know, the Toxic Podcast Network that myself, Mike, and Jules were a part of. So I texted Brett back in October, and I was like, yo, I'm out, you know, like, I was professional about it, because I was like, yo, thanks for everything. This has been a great opportunity. But obviously it gets to a point where you just outgrow like the drama and all the extra stuff that came with it. Because for a lot of people, it's just like, we're just here talking about our favorite team with other people that like whatever team. And then he texts me the next day, and I totally ignored it. He goes and he's like, yeah, so you start in that like goodbye letter or whatever, you started off all like professional, and then but you've also stolen like property, so anything you've stolen you need to hand over. And I'm like, I didn't respond to it, obviously. Then he tried emailing me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this lunatic, because this guy's just like way over his head. Like, how can you steal whatever, like a social media account or something? You know,
bad energy, man.
And then later, and I always tell people, just tune out the toxicity in your life, because like you're better than that. But also then like a month and a half later, his girlfriend tries texting me, and there's a funny story about it as well. And I just totally ignored the girlfriend too. I was just like, yeah, forget this. I'm not dealing with any of this. Like this is a complete mess. I'm not dealing with it. You know, whatever these guys can figure out, like whatever the social media account or password is, like they can figure it out themselves. I'm no longer there. So it's not my responsibility or like my problem to figure anything out.
Right, you're out. Like it's it.
It's just like text you.
she's like, yo, this is Kate from the Brawl Network. I'm sending you some codes for like these social media accounts, because apparently my phone number is like hooked up or something. And I just totally ignored it. And I should have fired back with like, yo, excuse me, would you tell like your ex-boss or your ex-coworker or like your old colleague or something, hey, can you do this for me? When in reality, like they're not working like for the company or the organization or the team anymore. You know, like who would do that, dude? Like I would never like do, you know, any sort of like actual work for like any company that like I used to work for, because I would be like, if I do this, you're probably not going to pay me, so I'm not going to go ahead and do it.
That's what happened to me at Food Emporium back in the day when I got, you know, when I left there. One of the fucking managers was like, yeah, he called me like the day after. He's like, yo, what's the code for bananas? I'm like, yo, leave me alone. I don't work there anymore.
6683.
It's actually 4011.
4011.
The code, yo, the code
would have been me.
Like, yo,
I don't know. That's what it was when I was there. Guess what? I ain't there no more, asshole. Peace.
That's hilarious, man.
That's it. I think that might be a wrap, right, Nick?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So guys, like
Yeah.
like where could we find you guys at before we leave?
All right, so y'all can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at USAYD Cultural. All right, as Mike always knows, because I ended every podcast this way when we did the Giants Brawl together, my DMs are open, so feel free to slide in there with anything. I actually had some weird dude try to slide into my DMs today, and he's
Nick.
like, no, literally,
Wow.
literally, this is some nerdy white guy, and he's like, oh, if you're not
Nick.
familiar with, he's
The
like,
other Nick.
if you're
The
not
other
fa-
Nick.
The other Nick.
No, it's not it's not the other Nick, but this guy goes, he's like, oh, if you're not familiar with what my sports company is, we're a fearlessly opinionated sports media network that emphasizes freedom of press and speech. And I'm looking at this like, hold on. So I have to know that as a media outlet, you're allowed to write like whatever you want and like basic First Amendment rights and stuff. Like if you had to make it so clear, then it clearly means that like something good is not going to come of this.
Never listen to your DMs.
or your Facebook messages, right? Unless you're Facebook messaging the Big Blue Offensive Podcast and you're actually talking to us about where you can hear this podcast and when it comes out. All right. No, because listen, you want to talk about some funny shit, bro. Like, yo, Facebook's a funny world, bro. Like, I set up a bunch of groups for the podcast. I even blew up the Brawl one for a minute, right? I had a lot of followers on that page. But anyhow, it's a funny world, bro, because like, yo, you'll get all this other like some hot chick that'll just be like, hey, Giants Brawl. You're like, what? Like, come on, get out of here, bro. Like, I know what this is. Like, you're fucking soliciting, and all of a sudden it's like a link to like a sex site or something.
I'll make it
like,
feel really good for you,
coming.
hon.
And then you get some weird ones where it's like some like fucking 65-year-old fat dude, and he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, what's up, Giants, right? Yeah, they're cool. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, giant penis.
I don't really like where this is going. I don't like where this is going.
Ever paint your dick blue?
Can I just point out the fact that it looks like Jules had to suck a dick in prison to get the Giants fucking banner in the back of his prison cell in order to get this podcast going tonight?
It looks like a prison hall.
I had to do a lot of favors. That cost me a lot of cigarettes. All right? You know, you got cigarettes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you can catch me at Jules NYC1 and fucking.
You know, we can find us on the Mix It Up Podcast at the Mix It Up Podcast on Instagram. I think that's it. Nick, I think Nick was supposed to do a Twitter account for the Mix It Up Podcast. Did you get that done yet or no?
I did not.
Right. So that's probably another couple weeks we'll get that going.
It takes a long time. You got the internet's slow around here.
He's still working on a dial-up. You can find me at Mike Trainer MFT. Also, follow the Giants Brawl, man, at BBO NYG Podcast, man. So, guys, that's it for the Mix It Up this week.
Yep.
I guess we'll see each other next week.
Yeah,
I'll see you in a couple of days.
Good to have you guys on, man.
The cat in the box.